New York has moved on from COVID restrictions. What about its restaurant workers?
皆さんこんにちは、ケニーです。マイローリングニュース&トピックスをご視聴いただきありがとうございます。このチャンネルでは海外の記事を英語で読んで最先端のトレンドやカルチャー、アートや時事など様々なニュースやトピックスをご紹介していきます。ニューヨークタイムズやロイターなどの有料コンテンツもフリーで紹介していますので、英語のリスニング力や会話力を向上させながらたくさんの情報を得ていただくことで少しでも皆様のお役に立てたら嬉しいです。皆さんはこの10分足らずの動画をご視聴いただくだけで最新のニュースやトレンドを知ることができますので、通勤通学のお供にぜひ最後までご覧ください。また動画内で聞きなじみのない英単語やイディオムには吹き出しでフィーチャーしていますし、日本語の翻訳文は概要欄に記載しておりますので、まずは英語でご覧いただき、その答え合わせとして翻訳文をお使いください。
今回の動画では2022年6月7日にニューヨークマガジンで掲載された現在のニューヨーク市での飲食業界の人々のコロナ認識インタビューをお伝えいたします。ニューヨークでは2022年のピーク時において重症化率が極めて高く医療崩壊を起こしていました。そのため現在のワクチン接種率 90% に至るまで市民にとってワクチン接種が公然の取り組みとして行われてきました。そういった背景があることを事前にご理解ください。各国で異なるコロナ対策ですので一連の紹介としてお取り扱いください。それではここから英語でスタートです。New York has moved on from COVID restrictions. What about its restaurant workers? If you are going to get it, you are going to get it. Last Wednesday, as the sky broke open outside, the dining room inside the place des Fêtes was humming. Since opening earlier this year, a few weeks after Mayor Eric Adams ended the vaccine mandate at restaurants.The Clinton Hill wine bar has been more or less full, and on this night, customers freely chatted over glasses of Grenache and pretzel mussels drowned in squid ink, just as they might have in 2018 or 2004. But things weren't back to pre-pandemic levels completely. The staff was entirely clad in face masks, a precaution they only recently brought back.We actually were maskless until about 2 weeks ago, which was a welcome change for just about all of the staff as most feel more comfortable without them, says Steve Wong, a partner and the director of operations at the restaurant. However, with this recent spike, my partners and I made the decision to reinstate the staff mask policy at both Oxford and Price's feast.That spike is what's being called an invisible COVID wave, a surge of cases that has gone more or less unchecked and unrecognized by the public. National case counts have recently risen as high as 100,000 per day, with New York City still averaging over 3,000 new daily cases, yet the Guardian reports actual totals.could be 30 times higher, with many new cases going unreported because of the prevalence of at-home testing. The wave may have peaked in New York City, where cases have been dropping since late May. The pandemic, in other words, is far from over. But one reason the masks at the President's feast are so striking is because they are one of the few examples of COVID safety precautions.that are still in press in the city's bars and restaurants. Instead, even many of the workers who interact with the public for 8 to 10 hours at a time say they've grown largely ambivalent about the continued threat of this virus. I can tell you this, no one cares, says Randy Wood, a bartender who works in both Brooklyn and Manhattan.I just started a new job and they didn't ask me for vaccination proof or anything like that. The reason? I think COVID fatigue got everyone completely over it. Seaback Joker, who manages the front of the house at a popular Lower East Side restaurant, Damaka, says she's still wearing masks at work, but that decision has been left up to individuals. other workers I talked to say they have absolutely no desire to wear them again, regardless of case counts. That'll be incredibly frustrating for me, says Ian, a bartender who works in Manhattan and who asked to leave his last name out of the story. He says that even if the risk of getting COVID is high, but the risk of a serious illness is low for many. It seems like we are kind of at the point with COVID where it's just like, it's here, and you might get it, you might not. But it's probably not a big deal. Like others, he says the arrival of Omicron, when cases surged dramatically, but hospitalizations and deaths didn't among people who were vaccinated, was a turning point in attitude among his co-workers. People were pretty concerned then, but ever since, I don't know, February, no one really seems to care all that much about it. Rama Curtis, who works as a bartender in Hell's Kitchen, says, there's just less urgency in general before conceding. Just because people are fatigued, they think this is done, and that's not how it works. Even workers who are following the case trends said it is no longer their primary concern. One Manhattan line cook, who asked to remain anonymous, says he's taking precautions to protect his family. An infant son, a father-in-law with cancer, but that he can't stay home. I have a COVID test. I need to do responsible things. I also need to work. If the prevailing mood among hospitality workers is one of ambivalence, many say that's a result of how pandemic restrictions were handled in the first place, changing and being enforced in ways that often felt arbitrary. One bartender tells me that when New York had a 10 p.m. curfew and indoor dining was banned, he ran a successful COVID speakeasy out of his place of work, and that when a police officer once visited, it was not to cross down the place, but to tell the bartender what to do to avoid being caught. When officials came by to see if the business was following the rules like contact tracing, he says they wouldn't even open the book. Ultimately, there's now a feeling of inertia, a sense that the public is over COVID and the workers must move on, whether they like it or not. If you are going to get it, you are going to get it, says Curtis. All you hope for is that it's not a severe situation, and that's it.
はい、お疲れ様です。いかがだったでしょうか。ニューヨークマガジンでのレストランワーカーの現状をお伝えする記事でした。今回の題材はセンシティブな題材を選びましたが、ニューヨークの現状と市民の認識をお伝えするには良い記事と思いご紹介させていただきました。ワクチン接種政策を世界に先駆けて取り組んでいった結果が現在のニューヨークの状況だと思います。これを良いものとするか悪いものとするか、その判断をする言及は控えさせていただきますが、一つ言えることは、今日もニューヨークの人たちは笑顔で元気いっぱいです。辛いことの先には必ず明るい未来があります。前向きに自分の道を歩んでいきましょう。それではご視聴ありがとうございました。よかったらいいね、コメント、チャンネル登録をお願いいたします。また次回の話題でお会いいたしましょう。See you next time. Thanks for your watching.